G'day Throttlers, welcome back to the channel. Now today the discussion topic is about the never-ending battle to prevent wind buffeting on a Harley-Davidson Street Glide. Now for those of you who don't know, this is my 2019 Street Glide Special, a 114 cubic inch, and I absolutely love it. It's a great bike, it's my dream bike, and I'm loving every bit of it, except for one thing. And that one thing is wind buffeting. Now for anyone who's had anything to do with street glides, you'll know exactly what I mean. And that's the fact that when you're riding, the front fairing on the street glide creates a massive amount of protection for your body. But depending on your height, your body position, and the windscreen that you use, depends on how much that wind is just knocking your helmet around. And if you haven't experienced helmet buffeting, it just shakes your head and rattles your brain, so much so that it creates a bit of blurry vision on occasions if it's real bad. It certainly creates a lot of movement in the helmet, stiff neck and all that sort of stuff, and it's really quite unpleasant. In fact, on a bad wind buffeting day, I would rather be riding a completely naked bike with no fairings at all, because at least then you've got wind on your whole body as well as your head. Whereas on a street glide, if your body's protected from the wind but your head's still getting the wind, you're having that sort of an action. You know, your head's doing all the work, your neck's doing all the work, and it becomes unpleasant. Anyway, this video, I'm going to talk about a range of different things that I've chosen to try to prevent or eradicate the wind buffeting on my street glide. And I've also got one more solution here that I'm about to unbox as well after we've talked about it, to see if that fixes my needs. Anyway, stick around. This is a conversation about trying to prevent wind buffeting on a Harley-Davidson Street Glide Special. All right, well, as you can see, this is the front of the Street Glide. And at the moment, I've got a aftermarket windscreen on here. This windscreen is, I think it was a 5.5 inch Harley-Davidson. Now here's the other challenge with Street Glide windscreens, right? So the different manufacturers measure the height of a windscreen in a different way. So some of them measure the height from the base of the plastic of the windscreen to the tip of the windscreen in this direction, yeah? Others measure the windscreen from the tip of the screen to the top of the dash. Now this is a challenge when you're online, and essentially most of the Harley-Davidson windscreen suppliers are in the US, so in Australia this is a challenge, and you're having to find out which company measures it in which way. And this is a mistake that I've made, and I've been caught out. So I think that when I had the original windscreen, actually let me show you. All right, so this is the original windscreen that came stock with my Street Glide Special. And the best thing about the Street Glide, well, one of the good things about the Street Glide Special is the fact that these smoked windscreens, they're low profile, and they just added an extra amount of aggressive look to the bike. And mine in particular is all blacked out as well. There's no chrome on it. And so it just made it a little bit sinister, and they call it murdered out, I think. And this windscreen, let's have a look. So in comparison to the one that's on it now, you can see once it's down here, tucked into its spot around about there, it's about an inch or so shorter than the current windscreen. And it's flat too. So I went to my local Harley-Davidson dealer and I said to them, I want to go up a size in windscreen. So they sold me the 5.5 inch Harley windscreen. And this one had a really nice lip on it. And actually in this camera you might see it actually curls up a little bit to effectively try and deflect wind up and over your helmet. Now, what happened with this is, it was great. So where the stock windscreen, the wind would hit me around about my nose level. So let's jump on the bike. So if I'm sitting here riding along, the wind was going to hit me with right about here with this stock windscreen on it. Now with this upgraded windscreen, now the wind's been deflected up, but when I hit about 100 or 110 kilometers an hour, now the wind's hitting me in the center of my forehead as I'm riding. Now, that's almost worse because now you're getting wind just hitting the top of your head and wobbling your helmet around, and really, really unenjoyable. So this is where the different measurements come in. So I had the 5.5 inch Harley-Davidson screen. So then I went back to my Harley dealer and I asked for the 7 inch. I thought, yeah, another 1.5 inches will probably get it up and over my helmet, problem solved. Now what's happened is that the measurements, originally it was measured from the dashboard to the tip. Now it was measured from the base of the windscreen to the tip. So then I go and spend $200 odd on another new windscreen, and guess what? It's the same bloody windscreen as this one, identical. So if you're looking for a 7 inch Harley-Davidson windscreen for a street glide, let me know. I've got one for sale because now I've got two at this size, and I certainly don't need two when it doesn't solve my particular problem. Now I have to say that in the experimentation process of trying to get these windscreens working for me, I changed my seat out. A mate of mine was moving to Germany and he gave me this big touring seat for my street glide. And because of its large chunkiness, I sort of wasn't going to use it because essentially it was just making the bike look chunky, and it wasn't the look that I was after. I wanted that real slick, streamlined look on my street glide. Now this is the original seat, and I don't know if it shows in the camera, but you can see how much smaller the passenger seat is. This is lower, and essentially this touring seat sits about 1.5 inches taller than the stock seat. So then what that effectively did was, number one, it improved my posture, which is why I've kept it on. I really love this seat. It's a winner for me, James. If you're watching this, thank you, mate. I didn't think I was going to use it very often, but I'm using it all the time now. But what it's done is put my head another 1.5 inches back up into the wind. Now, surprisingly enough, with this windscreen, now here's the irony of it, right? With this windscreen, with my seat 1.5 inches taller, now the wind is hitting me cleanly on the chin, which is better than on the forehead and the nose as it was before. Now, it's still having my head in the wind, but it is allowing for nice clean air to be hitting me when I'm riding with a taller seat. Go figure, hey? Now, here's where I've taken on the challenge to try and eradicate this buffeting for good. What I've decided is this screen I'm going to use in summer when I'm doing local rides, because I get nice clean airflow into my helmet, which means I can stay cool, and I run a bit hot, to be fair. But it was recommended by one of my viewers on my Street Glide review video to contact a company in the US called Freedom Shields. Now I contacted them not long before Christmas and spoke to the owner, John, and what an amazingly friendly and helpful fellow he was. We went backwards and forwards a couple of times talking about size, heights, posture, going for a ride and measuring things. And he's sent me out a Freedom Shield. Now from memory, I think it's the 9-inch one. But the one thing that I decided was I wanted a lightly smoked shield so I can actually have cameras that can view through the shield rather than being blocked out. Essentially, this is my business, right? I need you guys to be able to see through my windshield. But it's an 8-inch or a 9-inch, and it's a bit taller, and it should come in just below my nose height when it comes to viewing across it. But that should put the wind up and over my helmet, and theoretically, I should be in a little bubble. Now, a bit of a shout out to Dean from the Fast and the Curious channel. He's just put lower wind deflectors on his fairings too. And if this windscreen doesn't work out for me, I will also be looking at the lower wind deflectors. So any wind deflecting companies out there, if you'd like to send me a set, let me know. I'm definitely keen, and I'll personally review them. But for now, let's open up the Freedom Shields windscreen from John in the US and pop it on here. And number one, we'll have a look at it today. Number two, I'll go for a quick ride and I'll get to feel what it's like to have the Freedom Shield screen on the bike. Anyway, let's unpack it. All right, so the Freedom Shield came out from, where is it? Freedom Shields, John Lack, Colorado. So it's come out from Colorado. And as I was saying, I contacted him just before Christmas. And even with communications backwards and forwards, trying to work out which one was the right one for me, it still arrived here, I think on Boxing Day, no, maybe Christmas Eve. I think it arrived on Christmas Eve. So although he said it was going to be 3 to 5 weeks delivery, I think I got it in about 2 weeks. It was crazy quick. And it's custom made, and hopefully it's going to be, if not solve my problems, it's going to be a step towards solving my buffeting problems. Anyway, let's rip in. Mounting guides, windshield care, everything you need to know. Well, as you can see, it's very safely packed in all of this crazy stuff. It's certainly not going to get damaged in transit. Let's try and get this out without making a massive mess in my garage. Oh, nice. Now, here's the thing. This is the other thing why I chose to go with Freedom Shields over any of the other companies. I've now bought, oh, this is what I didn't tell you. In my challenges with this bloody windscreen, I bought this massive Clockworks windscreen, which ended up being way too tall, especially once I used my new touring seat. But more importantly, just the fact of the shape of this windscreen meant that it distorted my vision so much looking down at the road that it really bothered me. Now, I'm not saying that Clockworks is bad. I know it's a very popular company. For me personally, it just affected my vision so badly looking at the road that I just couldn't deal with it. So again, if you're after a Clockworks, I think it's a 10.5-inch screen, hit me up. This is for sale. It could be all yours. And because I have no need for it, and I'm sure that there's other people out here that would really love it on their bike and it would suit them down to the ground. But for me, no go, I'm afraid. All right, anyway, back to John at Freedom Shields. Now, the deal that he's got, and this is worldwide, so remember this has come from Colorado in the States and I'm in Sydney, Australia. If you receive this, buy this, and you put it on the bike but you leave all the protective plastic on it, take it for a test ride. If it's not the right size for you and it's not the right height for you, providing the protective film is still on it and intact, you can send it back to him and get a different one made. Now, I don't know any other windscreen companies in the world that offer that, and especially all of the ones I've bought from the Harley dealer, even though they're undamaged, unscratched, and the packaging is in good condition, they will not take it back. I have to sell it myself. And that's just the way it is, I get it. But Freedom Shields offers this deal. Leave the plastic on, take it for a test ride. If it's not the right size for you, send it back. I think that's definitely very, very commendable. And John, mate, I think you're an absolute bloody legend. Personally, I have faith that this is going to work, and even if it doesn't, I'm not going to send it all the way back to the States to get a new one. I'm just going to take all these covers off. I'm going to slip it straight onto my bike, and we're going to take it for a ride. So it's nice and simple removing these screens. It's literally just 3 hex screw across the front. Long one in the middle, and the 2 outside ones are nice and small. And just pull the fairing forward and pull it out. All right, so what I've chosen to do, I've just pulled up the plastic from the lower section so I can slide it in, attach it, and then once it's in and secure, I will unpeel all the rest of it and help protect it just while I'm working on it. Anyway, let's get this in. Oh yeah, that looks really, really nice. Look, on this camera you can see that it's almost see-through. In fact, it is almost see-through, but that, oh, do you know what? Number one, I'm really happy with the look. That's a big win. It's not as aggressive styling as the really dark smoked Street Glide special screens that I've had. But for me, I think this is going to be a more practical option because cameras will see through that screen better, being only lightly smoked. It's only got a very, very small bow in the screen to deflect the wind, but it doesn't distort the vision as much. When I'm sitting in a good posture, I'm looking just over the top of it. And yeah, man, I'm really, really happy. So the only thing that's left to do is to take it for a quick ride and see if it solves my problems. All right, here we are on the Street Glide Special with the new 9-inch Freedom Shield, lightly smoked. Now, as you can see, that even though it's lightly smoked, it actually looks completely clear. And as I said previously, that's fine for me. It has changed the look of the Street Glide Special. It doesn't have that, the smoked look gave it that real aggressive look. This has softened the look a little bit, but hopefully it solved my problem a little bit too. Plus, you get to see through the cameras, through the screen a lot easier, and it's less prohibitive when it comes to viewing my road journeys that I do on my YouTube channel. Anyway, we're just on a freeway now. We're only in an 80-kilometre zone, and the nice thing about at this speed is I'm still getting a bit of wind across the top of the screen and into my face. So travelling at slow speed, I'm getting nice airflow, which means that I probably won't need to revert back to the 5.5-inch or 7-inch, whatever it was, just for my summer local rides. I can leave this screen on all the time. Now, just shortly up the road a little bit further, we go into a 100 zone, and there's a little bit of breeze today, so hopefully I'll get to have a good feeling of how much this screen protects me at 100 kilometers an hour and above. I wanna love ya and treat you right. I wanna love ya every day and every night. The verdict is out. So, with the 9-inch Freedom Shield screen, it has not eradicated it totally, but it's done the best job it can without increasing the screen above my eye level. So what I'm feeling now at 100, between 100 and 110, I'm feeling just a little kiss of wind right on the very tip of my helmet. Now, it's not as good as I'd hoped, to be completely honest. However, there's positives. As I said earlier in the video, I run a bit hot in general, and having this little bit of a kiss, it's actually hitting me right where the air vents on my helmet are, which means that I'll be able to get some nice clean air circulating through my helmet, and it'll cool me down on the hot days, which is a positive. There is the smallest amount of buffeting still, but it's something that I can feel, but it's not actually moving my helmet, which is a big bonus, because that's what tires you out the most. As at the end of the day, when your helmet's being thrown around like this, and your neck's so sore and your vision has become blurred because your head's wobbling,
it has solved that problem. So I'm still perfectly happy with the result. Remembering that I'm on the touring seat now as well, so I'm 1.5 inches taller than I would be on the standard seat, and I will also in the future put the standard seat back on here and give it a try and see how that feels. But I love the posture of the touring seat and how I feel on the bike, so I'm thinking I'm happy with this. I'm thinking that this is at a state now where I'm completely happy. Now if I move my hand around down here to feel for the lower deflectors, there's wind coming up here, but it's hitting me in my armpit. It's not affecting my helmet at all. So I'm happy with that too. I'm not going to be getting any wind deflectors, unless the company wants to send me some to trial, of course. But I'm not going to make the effort myself, because that wind coming from under the fairing is mild. It's hitting me in the armpits and it's not affecting my helmet space. Anyway guys, that's about it. That's my solution to my wind buffeting. It hasn't eradicated it, it's reduced it massively, and for my needs I'm completely happy with that. Anyway guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. This little baby's taking me on a whole lot of adventures shortly. Moto camping, long road trips, short road trips, and bike nights and all that sort of stuff too. So consider subscribing. If you like this video, give us a big thumbs up. And until the next video, let's get out of here. Till the next video, throttle on, stay safe, and see you later. Singing sweet songs, the memory is pure and true. Is that a highway patrol sitting there? Cheeky little buggers, it is too.